Hi, my name's Steve Carroll. As always, I'm the dev manager for the C++ team, and welcome to GoingNative number 55. So as you know, we like to do some episodes that are about changes in the product, some episodes that are sort of just general learning about C++, and sometimes we like to talk about what happens in the committee about three times a year when everybody gets together. So this meeting, this is going to be one of those ones about the committee meetings, and this year we were lucky enough that the meeting that we're talking about today took place in our here in our hometown, Issaquah, Washington. Which is just a little bit south of Redmond, where we're seated today. So to get started, Gabby, you've been in each of these for the last 5 or 6 of these, right? So
something like that.
Familiar face, and they can go back and rewatch all of your greatest hits in terms of previous editions. And another familiar face here is Nishanov.
Yes.
Yes.
Hi. This is me. I've been twice. I think this is the third time.
Right,
so
right.
I'm not as popular and outgoing as Gabby,
Yes.
but I'm still here.
Right. We were talking about SNL right before we started things, and Gabby is sort of our Alec Baldwin, and maybe you're another of those common people to show up. Yes. All right. So moving on.
I wasn't sure where you're going with that, but
I like to keep you guessing. It's my prerogative. All right. So let's talk about Issaquah. So it's been 3 months since Ulu, 4 months since Ulu.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we met in June in Ulu. So
in Finland, and this one is almost as glamorous.
Yes,
Issaquah, Washington.
Issaquah. So I was kind of unhappy that we're going to have the meeting in Issaquah because I live just across the road, and in November in Issaquah, really. It turns out to be a really, really nice week.
That's
sun
good.
shining.
But you guys always tell me whenever I go to write the travel voucher money that you always are always inside the hotels anyways, and I shouldn't be concerned that they're really fabulous locations.
And this one is fantastic. So I'm really serious. I was one of the most skeptical guys, but I was quite happy.
we had lunch outside one day, so it was
Nice. That's good. I'm glad they let you out at least one time. Okay, so where are we in the process? How close are we till C++ 17? This is my first time going through the whole cycle here, so help me know where we're at.
If you remember, back in June when in Ulu, we voted out a document that we call, committee document.
The committee document.
That's right. And so essentially, let's say it's a better release of the standard we send out to national bodies to give us comments. So they have to debug the document. And they had about 3 months to send us comments. So what we did last week in Issaquah is to respond to all those national body comments. So each national body comment ought to have an answer. So we went through all the comment, different nature, just be general, editorial, or technical. Technical really means there is a problem, fix it. And by the way, I happen to have a solution. Sometimes they don't have a solution, we just have to fix it out. So you have the 4 subgroups: evolution working group, library evolution working group, library working group, and the core working group. So they all have their own buckets of comments to resolve.
Own different parts of the standard. Is that the right way to think about it?
Yeah. So the way to think about it is, for example, if you take the C++ standards, everything between chapter 2 till 15 is owned by the core working group, and chapter 17 onward is owned by the library group. But we do have 2 library group. We have library group and library evolution. So library evolution looks at incoming proposals, and sometimes some of the comments have to do with new functionality, so they are thrown to the library evolution courts. Something like StudByte, which was pretty new. There were some comments about the name or some other stuff, so it went to a library evolution group, then back to library. And then there,
once it's sort of like resolved, it kind of moves up a level.
That's right.
Okay, we need to make up some sort of like Schoolhouse Rock, like I'm just a Bill thing about how a feature becomes part of the language. But all right, we'll do that for the next episode.
And sometimes there are comments about a core language part, and then core language, core group look at it and say, this looks more like a language design issue. So they throw it to evolution. So evolution has to look at it and say, okay, we are okay with this suggestion, or we are not. But you ought to have a response to all those national body comments. And we did great. I won't say we're completely done, because that's not true, but I was quite amazed. One thing that Herb did, Herb is the convener of the C++ Standards committee. did on Monday was to say, oh, okay, among the comments, there were national body comments, in particular from US. I wouldn't say they're contradictory, but they were saying something like, do X. And then there's another comment that says, don't do X for the same X. And another one is like, I preemptively against doing X. So what we did on Monday was just to take a vote in plenary. Say, okay, what are we going to talk about these things? And most of them was no. So that freed a lot of time.
So we got a little bit more time to kind of work through issues. Okay.
I think that was quite a very good management thing to get done, and I think Herb should be thanked for that.
Awesome, cool. All right, so how close are we to done?
Oh, okay. So in the calendar, if you go to isocpp.org, and Herb has very nice timeline there, you'll see that we have 2 meetings reserved only for national body comment processing, ballot processing.
Okay,
So
and this was the first one?
yeah, this is the first one. The next one is in Kona in February.
Back to Hawaii, you guys.
See.
Okay.
So the hope is that in Kona we'll be done by the for resolving all these national body comments, and so at the end of that meeting in Kona, we will vote out what we call the final document for
Got it.
international.
And if we had some sort of wood here, I should be knocking on it.
That's
so
right.
I can get
Now,
it,
this
yes.
being WG21, you can always expect surprises.
Okay.
If we don't do that, then the hope of getting 17 is...
Got it.
Yeah,
So in
it's
other
gone.
words, it's possible at
Yes.
least that in Kona in
I think February.
February?
Yeah,
that
second half
at
of
the,
February.
that basically everybody signs and then you guys all hoist some sort of celebratory beverage hosted inside of a pineapple of some sort.
Yes.
Okay. I
And
got
if
it.
that's not done, it'll be in Toronto, but I think it'll be done by Kona.
Got
so
it.
Toronto is in July.
Okay.
So that still put us in the prospect of finishing 17 and having a stamp. And ISO, so in the IS organization, they tend to be very bureaucratic. It can take 6 months to figure out the stamp with 17. Okay.
Got it.
So
Got it.
we really need to nail everything by the end of Kona. And
Got
I
it.
think the
And so it will
chances-
be well named. We've been calling it C++17, and indeed,
Yeah.
as long as we get it out there kind of in February, it should be okay.
Yeah, and I think the chance of getting that done is like 80%,
All right.
80 to 90%, as long as WG21 keeps doing whatever it did in Issaquah,
If
we
you
should
can
be.
kind of continue the momentum.
That's right.
All right, so let's dig into the details. So, like you said, there's multiple different kind of parts of the standard that you guys kind of address, but I think we're going to break this down by let's talk about language stuff first, then we'll talk about libraries, and then we'll talk about TSs, okay? So let's start with language, and I think this is the one that you spend most of your time in,
Yeah,
right?
most of the time I'm in evolution working group where most of the language is designed. So sometimes I go to core if I have stuff like modules, TS was resolved.
Right.
So in evolution, we didn't have anything fundamental to resolve. So we talk mostly about things that may happen post 17.
I see. So even though the overall purpose of this was to kind of go through these sort of almost like bug reports against the
Yeah.
standard, you feel like you were able to kind of get through
so
those.
the first day, Monday, Monday and Tuesday, we just went through the bug report and we had nothing left to deal with.
Got it. Were there any major things in there that you feel like would affect the average C++ programmer
Oh, yeah.
based
so,
on the changes that were made?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, we have been talking about fixing order of evaluation.
Order of evaluation,
Yeah.
sure.
So there were a couple of national body comments about, we should probably just go back to how things were in Dark Ages and
Why are you pointing at me?
okay, not you, my friend.
Gore fights for the users. He's on the side of light, guys. All right.
Yeah, so the evolution working group was like, oh, really? No. So the response was, no, we're just going to keep things the way they are because we
So-
found bugs.
Got it.
There were some suggestions to do something with concepts, and we just couldn't
Okay.
get
So
it.
basically, no major changes, no new features accepted
No,
directly into
yeah.
17. No, and
So
you're
that
saying
was-
that order of operations got pulled out, or
Out of evaluation.
Evaluation, sorry.
Yeah, out of evaluation, there were national body comments saying, "Oh, let's just go back to how things were," and the evolution vote was no.
oh, I see. So the
the-
status quo was maintained.
Yeah,
even then.
yeah, maintained. So the other thing I forgot to say was that at the comment resolution meetings, you ought to have very high bar for changing whatever was in the document. So whatever you do, you have to increase consensus. So if you want to take something out, you have to find that base, very
More
high.
people agree
Yeah,
with
like,
that.
Yeah,
I
like
see.
90% of people who agree to take something out or to change it in one way or the other. So that was part of the reasons why Monday meeting in plenary was very productive, which was like we didn't have a lot of consensus on many things that were proposed by National
Got
Body
it.
Comment.
Okay, cool. So before we kind of go, before we jump into like kind of post 17 things, then maybe we should transition to talk about the libraries.
Yeah, I think we should.
Okay.
So in library, I think Gory is our
Yeah, I'll
expert.
talk about library. Yes, and Gabriel started explaining the structure of
Sure.
evolution, core, library evolution, real library. But that's not all that deals with libraries, because I think during this meeting, SG1, which is a subgroup that deals specifically with concurrency and parallelism,
Right.
it spent most of the time looking at issues which ended up going to C++17 and resolving
I see.
them.
That did actually get
There
all the
was
way into the
yet
dock.
another room which actually didn't end up being in a room. They ended up being in a restaurant. But they were not eating. I was
All right.
sometimes checking out. They were just talking about
Yes, we didn't
things.
have enough room.
Right. So a table at the restaurant was full-time working on resolving file system issues because
Okay.
they discovered that there are other operating systems besides POSIX and Windows, and they were looking into taking care of those operating systems as well.
Give me an example.
They would, I'm trying to remember. It's this mainframe system, which has
I
this
see.
very interesting name, and I just cannot. It just escaped me. It's not IBM.
Yeah, if I make comments.
CentOS,
Okay.
some kind of.
Yeah, so this is one of the things we talk about here. So file system has been one of our first TS, and it has been there for a while. And it went through Balato, had some comments.
Which again
but
are these sort of beta release
yes,
kind of
exactly.
ideas.
It's a baby standard. And if you remember Biani explaining a TS a few months ago.
Yeah, just catching the folks at home up. Yeah.
And so when the TS was moved into the standard drive, that was when people were like, "Oh, really? It's happening?" And so we had
It's happening.
Yeah. So suddenly, most of the comments that we had to do with file system.
Okay. Wow.
I think
Yes.
close to half or more than half of the national body comments, at least in library, had to do with file system.
Right, so there was a dedicated group working on the file system through the entire week. And one of the highlights is that .bashrc is now not an extension.
It's like a file name instead of.
Yes.
Yeah, I see.
So that's important.
So that will mean something to an
Right,
actual
and I spend
developer.
most of my time in concurrency and parallelism group. So things that are in 17 is the entire parallel TS, which essentially adds algorithms like we used to have in STL to operate over sequences, containers. Now they can be parallel. So they get an extra parameter which can specify the execution policy, sequential, vector, parallel.
And if people are interested in learning more about that, actually the very first episode of Going Native that I was the host for was actually on that very topic. So we'll give you guys a link to that one so you can go watch Archer talk through that
Right,
in
so
detail.
we were fixing things in there. For example, there was this very complicated data structure, exception list, which should accumulate exceptions as they occur in parallel in multiple threads, and eventually they will need to get aggregated and given to the consumer of the parallel construct. And it was troublesome, and in Ulu we removed it completely and said, well, if an exception happens in a parallel algorithm, just terminate the program.
Ow.
And that felt too harsh.
It seems harsh.
So we made a little tweak which made it forward-looking, where we do call to terminate for any currently standard execution policies, but otherwise execution policy can decide what to do.
And execution policies are like var and vec and par.
Yes,
in
but
this.
we have a concrete ones that we specified, parallel
Right.
vector. But execution policy is also just a concept. It's whatever you can put there.
Right.
So now
Future-proofing, so to speak.
the big decision was we will let execution policy decide.
Yeah.
Another thing in the parallel land was that it is really troublesome to use input iterators with parallel algorithms.
Okay.
And if you remember
Surprise.
your iterator categories, the input iterator is once you consume the value, it moves.
Got it.
So you can't really give to various threads an iterator to a particular point of a sequence because it only moves when you consume it, and if it doesn't
Right.
consume, so and I don't think we resolved it. We pushed that to the next meeting where we need to decide either we say no, damn it, it's only forward iterators as opposed to input, or we can specify that, well, algorithms can copy, and in that case, you can actually use the initial pass through the input sequence to copy the values and then give them out to various
I see.
algorithms.
So that's still an open issue, but
Yeah, it's an open
but
issue.
I want to make sure I understand this. But we expect that if we get to the point where everybody
It will be
drinks
resolved.
those celebratory pineapple
Yes.
drinks, that it will have that
yeah,
in there. It's
yes.
just a question of how do we resolve this
That's
issue.
right,
in it.
yes.
Okay.
Yes. So
I don't expect that to be a blocking issue
For
having-
adoption of the thing into 17.
I want to celebrate in Kona.
All right.
Yes.
What a better place.
And then there were forward progress on some exciting things, but it is post-17, like executors start moving forward. It was probably since 2012, I need to look back. There were proposals, and they were essentially different views on how to do it, and there was no consensus
Got it.
getting there. But now we got a unified proposal, which might actually resolve the problem and become part of the standard.
Okay, so
So-
we have for languages we have sort of the top line is mostly status quo. Languages we're seeing major or libraries we're seeing some more substantial changes, but still towards no major additions or deletions. Is that the right way?
Well, sorry, there is one thing I mentioned stood byte earlier,
Right.
which is something that evolved out of the effort we have with Diana Strostrup on Carroll, C++
Right.
Carroll guidelines and the guidelines support library. So this is something that was developed by Neil McIntosh, worked for Microsoft. So that proposal was well received. In Olu, it missed the deadlines for the library review by 2 hours.
Oh no.
Yeah, oh no. So it was reviewed the next day and forwarded to core again because it has both library and core wording. And that was again reviewed by Library Evolution Working Group because the Canadians didn't like the name.
Okay.
For some reason, they don't like bytes.
Did they spell it differently?
There was suggestion to call it raw byte or storage byte.
I
The
see.
interesting thing is that both C and C++, ever since they've been defined, have been using the word byte. So that type that Neil was proposing with the name byte just materialized the concept, but for some reason it was.
Got it.
Yeah. So I expect that to come back because really everybody.
By which you mean in Kona?
in Kona, yeah.
Okay.
Because even the Canadian comment who said something about the name actually liked
The proposal. It's really a dispute about
it is,
what color the bike shed should be.
Yeah,
Okay.
bike
All right.
shedding thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I expect that to come back, and it was basically the only real new things. I wouldn't call it new because in Olu it was just really, by 2
Sure.
hours,
Sure.
and I expect that to come back because everybody like it. It is not a new proposal. It has been there. It just, you have 6 days of work, and from 8
Got
to
it.
10
You
at
try
some
to get it
point
done.
you stop. Yeah.
So anything else before we jump into TSs that we want to
I
call
think-
out as a delta?
I think that was basically all. Yeah.
Okay, great. Let's jump into T. I know, like we had to do that other stuff first,
yeah.
and you guys were taking all the time on the TSs stuff. So let's start with modules.
Okay. So I didn't expect us to do anything with modules because it
And
was.
you're the editor for that,
I
right?
happen
And
to be the-
just to put the full disclosure.
Yeah,
on
so
this.
I'm the project editor for the module technical specification. We have a working draft. I didn't expect the committee to spend time on modules because we're supposed to do comment resolution. And it turns out we actually had, the core was very, very good at processing the incoming issues, and they made time
created
for
some space for the committee to do extra work. That's awesome.
right, for module TS. And the expectation was that we will proceed to sending the TS for what you call PDTS, essentially balloting, asking that somebody is, are you happy with this one? If yes, then we would. So, but we didn't. But we did.
And now these are not on track for 17. These are just they're in those sort of branchy.
That's right.
Beta branch kind of.
Yeah, we resolved 4 issues. They were common sense things. There was no dispute of any kind. There was a request by some core working group members about what happens when templates from several modules get instantiated. I think they want to have a precise statement of where point of instantiation is. It's very technical. It is not major. I don't consider it major. It is not major.
It's kind of like we've got syntax, we've got most of the behaviors together. Now we're into bug fix.
When you're going to instantiate a template, the question is, what you consider as a name, we call that point of instantiation. And it is fairly technical. For most people using modules, they are not affected, they shouldn't care. But if they do, then they're spending too much time on the standard draft.
Great.
So that's what held back, sending the TS for PDTS.
But there's not like competing proposals at this point.
No.
Because we've talked about that in the past. So I'd like to just.
So Richard Smith, for example, has a proposal for. He works on Clang for Google, and he has ideas for amendment. And he accepted to have his document discussed in Kona. Right.
Okay.
So there was no dispute of any kind.
Great.
The other thing that actually I like a lot that happened was that Gore's proposal for coroutine got turned into a technical specification draft. And before I hand out to him to explain this, we had 2 other technical specifications that were sent out for ballot in PDTS. So you have the networking TS, and then you have the ranges TS. I don't remember who is the project editor for network, but I know ranges is Casey Carter, who
Jonathan
worked.
Wakely.
Jonathan Wakely, yes.
Yeah, okay, so we got Wakely on networking, and Casey Carter, who was in 2 episodes ago or 3 episodes ago, and is currently hard at work on that thing behind this wall.
That's right.
Yes, okay.
So, Gore, tell us about the coroutine TS.
Oh, it was exciting. I got called twice to core group and twice
And got whipped.
Is that like the principal? I don't go to these things.
I don't think whipped is the correct word.
Really?
The wording is in reasonable shape.
You know how things work in core, right? You get to it's the room where a lot of people they're staring at their computer. And then at some point someone say, mm-hmm. Then someone say, yes. That's the way it works.
Yes, it's similar to what Gabriel described. So what we had before, I was editing some document, putting it out, people making comments. But now it went through full end-to-end official core review twice. So it is like Gabriel described, is that people sit looking at every line of the document, line by line, and making comments where to put a comma, where to remove the comma. Sometimes the document wasn't unclear or specified not in the best way, so they made suggestions or demand, depending how you. And then I spend time at night and in the morning furiously editing the document so that the next time they'll do the review, they can see whether it was all implemented. So we got 2 reviews in core, and core signed off, and then we got the 2 reviews in the library, and again, same deal. They look at the document, they line by line, and our Stefan is always finding something wrong. And mission signature or signature const expert doesn't match with whatever is in the synopsis, but we fixed them all.
Yes.
We fixed them all, and the funny bit is that it was completely going against the deadline. So essentially, it is Friday. Friday noon, everything stops because the chairs have to prepare motions for the vote of entire committee, and essentially they said, well, okay, how about we give 10 more minutes into the break, and then we'll stop. And we finished the last paragraph, 9:59, essentially.
So that's
right
a good
on the
story
boundary.
to tell.
Great.
So, and now it becomes the initial working draft. Then it goes into this scary sounding PDTS. But
What does that stand for?
Exactly. No, I don't know, because I had no idea what it is, and nobody was telling me. So
Is it in French?
Yes, it is.
Well, at least it's not with TSD.
Look, with TS, we already kind of know technical specifications. So you take those two letters
Yeah.
and PDTS.
So what's going?
Why
okay.
are you not
Pretty
letting
darn
me say?
technical.
Okay, so you have to ask her for the exact meaning. But what's going to happen?
What? I know the meaning. I asked. I can share.
So what we
Preliminary draft.
yes.
Hey.
So
Alright.
what happened was that the committee voted to instruct Herb to create what we call a new work item. So that usually take about 2 to 3 months of balloting, and with Gore as the project editor, so he'll need more time to work on this.
Oh, okay. All right. Cool.
And so that will come back, by Kona. You'll get this thing that says yes, and you have more work to do.
Me English do good.
Is this going? Okay, and so there was a separate ballot, vote, which was Herb is very good at understanding ISO bureaucracy and getting the committee moved very fast, timely. So it is possible these days to create a new work item and at the same time ask, oh, do we want this to be the TS? So we had another poll that says, oh, since we're creating new work item, do we want that new work item to be also the TS? At that point, some people from...
It's like a process improvement.
That's right.
Optimization.
Optimization, yes. So some people in core felt like when they were doing the review of the wording, they didn't get the impression that they were doing it for PDTS. So that vote didn't carry on Friday. But it is just,
Okay.
yeah.
So it's moving down the pipe.
That's right.
It's-
But
looking good for
it's a real
2020.
progress for,
Yeah.
the community to have now a draft. Now, if we think we have better ideas about how to improve Gore's design, we just have to now write what we call a diff, submit a patch against the working draft that he has.
Okay.
And that is the real progress, because before that, we couldn't do that, right?
'Cause
Before
there
that,
was nothing to base the diff off of.
exactly.
Right.
So this is a real progress for the community.
Awesome. Okay, so we talked about the language, the libraries, now we talked through the TSs. So as always, how do people get involved and what's coming next?
Okay, the first thing, if you want to be involved, the first thing you do is go to isocpp.org, and then you find a lot of information there. Then next, talk to your national body representative. For the US, it is PL 22.16. Don't ask me what it means. For UK, it is BSI. For Finland, ask Ville.
And that information is up on the website.
Yeah, it's on the
somewhere? Okay.
website. Yeah. The other thing is, so if you go to the website isocpp.org, you have links to forums, and that's a great place to communicate your early ideas, to get feedback, and to get involved, and so on. The other thing that really like people to do is to try the major compilers that implement the TSs and the standard. I hear that GCC is 17 ready, so I don't know exactly what that means.
What is it? Okay. Asked and answered, I guess. All right, cool.
But essentially, they have they have been very good at implementing the library additions and language features. MSVC is very good. If you go to a VC blog, you get Stefan's table that tells you exactly what is in VC right now, and they have implemented almost everything in library now.
A decent chunk of it. What you need to definitely check out things like variant and optional string views in there. The RC. When we're filming this, we're 2 days from when we release the RC. That seems to be going well. Grab those bits, and you can. What are the other things you can try in MSVC?
So you can try coroutines from my friend Gore.
/away.
Right.
And you have modules, experimental modules. Please try and give us feedback.
Right, and we got great. Okay, modules, coroutines.
I think we got string view.
String view, yeah, the libraries are the string view optional variant and a whole bunch of other stuff. Definitely check out Stefan's table.
Yeah. I don't think we have any other TS right now in
Right.
the process. Yeah.
Okay, so what about the other what about Clang?
So the other thing I forgot, GCC has the concept TS.
They're still the only ones, I think.
It's the only one, yes. Clang has preliminary support for modules, TS. I think Go
It's a little bit of, coroutines are not at the language level yet, but they are.
Library.
But it's in progress.
Okay.
You got like a bunch of check-ins to make. And the good
so
people
the coroutines has the bottom layer, which is the actual engine, and that is already in.
in LLVM.
In
LLVM.
in the backend.
But the syntactic sugar is not fully in the trunk yet.
Yeah.
But you can, if you're watching sort of Clang check-ins, if you're like at that level of consuming like the live bits, you'll be able to see as you've written it all. It's just it's got to get
Yes,
reviewed.
it's getting slowly, and it's not just me now. Eric Fusilier adds patches, so it's good. It's getting there.
Yeah.
Go community.
Yeah. So if you go to, you can also look at the watch the video, CBCon video where her. Gore explains.
Or it's the Hawaiian shirt.
Very,
It's what
it's the shirt. Yes.
The Hawaiian shirt. Confusing me. So Gore explained what is in LLVM, how you can use it even from C.
Yes.
And
We can have
Richard
coroutines in
Smith
C
talked
right
about
now.
his ongoing implementation of modules
Right.
in Clang, and you can try it and give feedback. This is very important.
Right, and all those CBPCon videos are on both YouTube and Channel 9 for those of you who are in places you can't get to YouTube. Yes.
That's right. Well, I think that's basically the major way to
Great.
get involved into the standardization.
And then they should, and for those of them who aren't going to, they can just try patiently to wait the 4 months until we come back and do this one more time
That's
after
right. So
after Kona.
The next meeting is in Hawaii, Kona, Hawaii, beautiful Kona. Second half of February, I don't have the exact dates from the top of my head, but if you go to astrocp.org, you'll have.
February 28th to March 4th.
Oh, see?
Is this a leap year?
I don't remember.
That was impressive. I thought maybe you'd be able to figure it out.
You can.
All right.
Anyway.
All right, so that's Going Native number
So-
55. Go out there, try the features, try all the compilers, file bug reports,
Yep.
and yay. We'll see you next time.
And cross fingers to get 17.
Yeah,
not
17
18.
Kona. All right, yeah.
Okay.
The end.